Fellas, have you ever noticed that? The moment you stop staying silent, she starts testing you. It's like she wants to see if this new you is for real. Let me tell you, this is a defining moment. Not just for your relationship, but for your own growth as a man. Today we're breaking down exactly why she's testing you, and how to not just survive, but thrive when it happens. And yes, we're sprinkling in some Stoic wisdom along the way, because what's more timeless than mastering yourself? Let's get started. 1. Why she's testing you now. When you decide to stop staying silent and start asserting yourself, everything changes. The balance she once relied on is now disrupted, and that can feel unsettling to her. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's simply human nature. She may test you not out of malice, but to understand this new version of you. What she's really looking for is reassurance. Proof that your words and actions align, that your strength is real and consistent. Think about it this way: when you've been quiet or overly accommodating in the past, she might have seen that as a sign of predictability or even passivity. Now, as you assert yourself, you're introducing a dynamic that challenges her perception. It's a shift, and shifts often come with questions. Can he hold his ground? Does he mean what he says? Will he crumble under pressure? These are the silent questions she's asking as she tests you. The Stoics understood that true strength comes from within, and that we must remain anchored despite the storms around us. Seneca reminds us, a gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. Her tests are those moments of friction, not meant to break you, but to refine you. They're not about winning or losing in her eyes. They're about staying aligned with your own principles and unshakable sense of self. For example, she starts pushing back on a boundary you've set. Maybe she questions it, dismisses it, or tries to negotiate around it. In the past, you might have folded to avoid conflict, but now you stand firm. You calmly explain your reasoning, not defensively but confidently. This isn't about winning an argument. It's about showing her and yourself that you respect your own boundaries. Her reaction may vary. She might initially push harder, or she might step back and respect your stance. Regardless, the key is that you remain steady. The real test isn't in convincing her. It's in not wavering within yourself. If she raises her voice, stay calm. If she doubts you, stay steady. If she questions your resolve, remind yourself that you're not here to prove your worth to anyone else. You're here to show up as your authentic self, strong, grounded, and unshaken. Ultimately, these moments are opportunities when you stay composed, when you demonstrate consistency, and when you refuse to let external challenges disrupt your inner peace. You build trust. Not just her trust in you, but your trust in yourself. So when she tests you, welcome it. It's not a battle, it's a chance to demonstrate that you're no longer the man who stays silent. You're the man who speaks, acts, and lives with integrity. And that's the kind of strength no test can shake. To her, questions are mirrors. Every single thing she throws your way isn't random. It's deliberate, even if she doesn't realize it. These tests are her way of gauging where you stand, what you're made of, and whether the silence has changed anything about you. But here's the thing, these moments aren't just about her. They're about you too. Every question, every setup is a mirror. What's she reflecting? Maybe it's her own insecurities bubbling to the surface, her curiosity about your intentions, or even a bit of fear of being hurt. Fear of the unknown, fear of opening up again. But don't fall into the trap of taking it personally or letting it shake you. Here's where Stoicism becomes your ally. Instead of reacting on impulse or overthinking her motives, ask yourself, what does this moment reveal about me? Am I as grounded as I claim to be? Can I stay composed in the face of uncertainty? Imagine she asks, why did you come back? Now that question can feel like a jab, right? But instead of letting it throw you off, recognize the deeper layer. It's not necessarily about mistrust. It could be her way of asking, are you serious, or am I setting myself up for disappointment? Your response in that moment can set the tone for everything that follows. If you react defensively or scramble to prove yourself, you're letting the test control you. But if you answer calmly with clarity and confidence, you're showing her and yourself that you're steady. Or maybe she throws a curveball, bringing up something from the past that she knows used to get under your skin. It's a test, plain and simple. She's looking to see if you'll crumble under the pressure, if you'll slip back into old habits, or if you've grown. This is where a Stoic mindset really shines. You remind yourself this isn't about her words. It's about my response. My emotions might flare up, but I don't have to act on them. I choose how I show up right now. The key here is to understand that her tests aren't about winning or losing. They're about showing her something deeper. She wants to see if you're solid, if your words align with your actions, and if you're capable of staying calm under fire. And here's the beauty of it. When you pass her tests, it's not just for her benefit. It's for yours. It's a moment of growth. A chance to prove to yourself that you're not just reacting to life, but actively shaping how you show up in it. Every challenge she presents is a chance for you to show your strength, your growth, and your resolve. Stay calm, stay composed, and let your actions do the talking. That's how you pass her tests. Not just for her, but for the person you're becoming. Now that we've unpacked the significance of her questions and how they reflect both her inner world and your growth, let's hear your perspective. What do you think about these moments of testing? Have you experienced situations where your response shaped the outcome in a profound way? Or maybe this topic sparked a realization about your own approach to challenges in relationships. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to share them in the comments. Or if you're pressed for time, just type one, shape my response, not my reaction, to let us know this message resonated with you. Let's keep the conversation going. No. 3. Decoding her emotional armor. When she begins testing you, it's not about being combative or trying to put you down. It's her way of wearing armor. It's a defense mechanism rooted in her desire to feel safe and secure. She's trying to figure out if your strength matches her expectations. Can you handle the real her? Can you stand firm when things aren't perfect? These tests aren't meant to be a personal attack. They're questions, sometimes unspoken, about your reliability and character. When someone challenges us, our first instinct is often to react emotionally, defensively, angrily, or even with frustration. But Stoicism teaches us to step back and look at the bigger picture. Marcus Aurelius once said, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Instead of seeing her actions as an attack, view them as an opportunity to show consistency and strength. What she's really asking is, can I trust you? Will you remain steady even when I'm not? This is what Stoics would call philosophical curiosity, a deeper exploration of what lies beneath the surface. It's not about the words she uses or the tone she takes. It's about what those things reveal, about her insecurities, her fears, and her hopes for you as a partner. Imagine she questions your plans or challenges your decisions. Maybe she seems to nitpick or push back on something minor. Instead of saying, "Why are you making this so hard?" or retreating into silence, take a calm approach. Ask yourself, what's the bigger picture here? Perhaps she wants reassurance that you can take the lead without being domineering. Maybe she's testing whether you'll crumble under pressure or stick to your word. Respond with patience and clarity. Say something like, "I see what you're saying. Let me explain why I chose this. And if there's a better way, I'm open to hearing it." This shows her that you're steady, thoughtful, and not easily rattled. Passing her test isn't about winning or proving her wrong. It's about staying composed and present, showing her that your actions align with your words. When you resist the urge to react defensively and instead lean into understanding, you demonstrate the emotional strength that Stoicism emphasizes. So the next time she tests you, don't take it personally. Don't see it as a sign that she's against you. Instead, recognize it as her way of asking, "Are you the person I can lean on?" And with calmness and reason, show her that you are. This is how you pass her test. Not by overpowering her, but by standing firm in your own values, your own sense of self, and your ability to navigate challenges with grace. That's the kind of strength she's looking for. No, for respond. Don't react. Maybe she says something provocative, challenges your perspective, or pushes your buttons in a way that feels intentional. This is the crossroads where so many of us stumble. It's easy to react impulsively, to let emotions take over and snap back in the heat of the moment. But here's the thing, that's exactly what you need to avoid. When she's testing you, it's not just about the words being exchanged. It's about how you handle the pressure. She's not looking for perfection. She's looking for stability. Can you stay calm when the conversation gets heated? Can you keep your composure when you feel like you're being provoked? These moments are where you demonstrate who you really are in there, where true connection and respect are either built or lost. Marcus Aurelius had a brilliant reminder. For moments like this, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Think about that, the words she says, the way she tests you, these are outside events. You can't control them, but you can control how you respond. And that's where your power lies. Suppose she says something that feels like a jab, maybe a comment about your past mistakes, or a teasing remark that stings a little. Your instinct might be to fire back, to defend yourself, or to try to win the argument. But what if instead you paused? Take a deep breath, center yourself, and respond with grace. Say something like, "I see where you're coming from," or even a simple, "interesting perspective," without letting your emotions dictate your tone. By doing this, you show strength, patience, and maturity, qualities that naturally earn respect. Stoicism teaches us that our greatest strength is in mastering ourselves, not others. When you respond thoughtfully, rather than react impulsively, you prove that you're not just someone who can handle words, but someone who can handle life. That's the kind of energy that draws people in and keeps them intrigued. So the next time you feel that test coming your way, see it as an opportunity to practice self-control and demonstrate your value. She's not testing you to see you fail. She's testing to see if you're the kind of person who can rise above the noise. And when you do, you'll pass her test. Not just because you kept your cool, but because you showed her what true strength looks like. What about you? How do you typically handle those moments when emotions are running high? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective, or if you're ready to commit to this Stoic principle. Just type "strength" is in the response to let us know you're on board with mastering self-control. Your voice matters, and your insights might just inspire someone else today. No. 5. The art of saying no. Here's a test you'll face often. She pushes boundaries maybe. She asks for something you're not comfortable with, or tries to see how much you're willing to bend. It might seem subtle at first, an offhand request, a playful challenge. But don't mistake it for nothing. This is a pivotal moment, one where how you respond says everything about who you are and what you stand for. When she tests you, it's not about the surface-level request. It's about what's underneath. She's checking to see if you truly respect yourself and whether you'll stand firm in your values. Think about this for a moment. If you always say yes to avoid conflict or to gain her approval, you're not showing strength, you're showing insecurity. The truth is, setting boundaries isn't about rejecting her. It's about respecting yourself. The Stoics teach us a timeless lesson here. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to live in harmony with his principles, no matter the pressure from others. He knew that inner peace comes from staying true to your values, not from pleasing everyone around you. When you say no with confidence and respect, you're not just holding your ground, you're showing her that you're someone who can be relied on to be steady and firm. And trust me, that kind of strength is deeply attractive. Imagine a scenario. She asks for something unreasonable. Maybe she wants you to cancel plans you've made for weeks, just to accommodate her last-minute whim. It's tempting to say yes, thinking it will make her happy in the moment. But what happens next time? You'll have set the precedent that your priorities don't matter. Instead, take a breath. Steady yourself and say, "I can't do that. But let's figure out something that works for both of us." Notice the difference. You're not dismissing her, but you're not dismissing yourself either. That balance is key. These moments of testing aren't meant to frustrate you. They're opportunities to demonstrate who you are. When you pass this test, when you remain calm, respectful, and unwavering, you're showing her that you're not easily swayed, that you have a strong foundation. She might push harder at first, but over time she respects you more because of it. Remember, a firm, respectful no is one of the most powerful things you can say. It's not about being rude or defiant. It's about living in alignment with your values. And in the end, when you stay true to yourself, you not only earn her respect, you earn your own. No. 6. Her test is not about winning. Let's get one thing straight. When she's testing you, it's not about competition. It's about consistency. She's not playing a game to see if you'll trip up or fall short. She's asking a deeper question. Even if she doesn't realize it consciously, that question is, can I trust him to be steady? Can she rely on you to be the person you present yourself as, especially when the waters get choppy? Think about it this way. Life will always throw challenges at you, and relationships are no exception. These tests aren't designed to knock you down. They're meant to see if you can stand tall. The Stoics understood this well. They believed that true strength comes not from overpowering others or proving yourself in some grand display, but from living with reason, integrity, and steadfastness. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to act in harmony with nature and reason, never wavering in his commitment to his principles. And that's the same kind of consistency she's searching for when she tests you. Maybe she's looking to see how you respond. When she's distant, does your confidence crumble? Or do you remain secure in who you are? Perhaps she challenges your boundaries or pokes at your patience. It's not because she wants to see you fail. It's because she needs to know if you're uncheckable. People, especially in relationships, feel safest with someone who doesn't bend under pressure or lose their temper when things aren't going their way. Let's say she's acting cold or distant out of nowhere. Instead of reacting with frustration or chasing after her for reassurance, you maintain your calm. You don't need to over-explain or beg for clarity because you trust in your actions and know you've done nothing wrong. You stay composed and your energy communicates that you're not going to be swayed by temporary moods. That steadiness tells her everything she needs to know. You're not someone who's easily shaken. Or imagine she brings up an argument from the past to see how you'll handle it. A reactive person might get defensive or escalate the tension. But a Stoic-minded approach would look different. You'd listen, acknowledge her feelings, and respond with calm clarity. I understand why you feel that way and I respect it. You might say, your focus isn't on winning the discussion, but on staying true to your principles: patience, understanding, and self-control. The truth is, consistency is the ultimate test. It's not about how charming or impressive you can be in a single moment. It's about how dependable you are over time. When you embody calmness and self-assurance, when you respond with reason instead of emotion, you're showing her that you're the steady presence she can trust, and trust is what builds everything else in a relationship. Respect, connection, and even love. Remember that. The Stoics believed external challenges are opportunities to demonstrate your virtues. This is no different. She's not trying to see if you'll pass or fail. She's trying to find out if you're the real deal. And by staying steady and grounded, you'll show her exactly who you are. If you've made it this far, it's clear you're invested in understanding the deeper dynamics of relationships and how Stoic principles can help you navigate them with grace and strength. Now I'd love to hear your thoughts. What resonated with you the most about this idea of consistency being the ultimate test? Have you experienced a moment when staying grounded made all the difference in your interactions? Let's keep this conversation going and build a community focused on growth, respect, and understanding. No. 7. Turn pressure into patience. When you feel like the tests are too much, let me tell you something important. Patience is your hidden superpower. It's not about passively waiting or letting things slide. It's about maintaining your composure and self-respect, no matter how challenging the moment feels. The Stoics had a deep understanding of this. They didn't see patience as a form of weakness or surrender to them. It was strength in its purest form, the ability to remain steady and unshaken when the storm is raging around you. Now think about this in the context of her testing. Maybe she's throwing questions at you, teasing you, or pulling back to see how you'll respond. It's natural to feel a little frustrated, maybe even confused. But that's your moment to pause and take a deep breath. Ask yourself, what is within my control here? The answer is always the same: your actions, your words, and your attitude. Everything else, including her reaction, is beyond your control. And honestly, that's freeing. Let's say you're texting her, and suddenly, she replies with something that feels like a challenge. Why do you even care about this? Or you're too nice, it's boring. Instead of reacting defensively or overthinking what she means, you can calmly hold your ground. Respond with confidence, perhaps even humor. Carefully, you might say with a smile, "My patience is legendary," or "Nice isn't boring." it's rare you should stick around and see. It's not about being cocky. It's about showing her that you're steady, unbothered and unshaken by her test. Stoicism teaches us to see pressure not as a threat, but as an opportunity for growth. When she tests you, it's not about winning or losing. It's about demonstrating who you are. These moments refine you. They help you show her and yourself that you're someone who doesn't crack under pressure. You don't crumble or react out of fear or insecurity. Instead, you remain composed, proving that your sense of self doesn't depend on her approval or validation. When you keep this mindset, something incredible happens. She starts to see that her tests don't rattle you. In fact, they make you shine. And that's attractive, it's magnetic. Women respect a man who knows how to handle himself with grace, even when the situation feels uncertain. So when she's testing you, don't see it as a game to win or lose. See it as a chance to embody patience, strength, and self-mastery. Remember, the pressure doesn't break you. It refines you. This is your opportunity to show her what kind of man you are. Someone calm, confident, and completely in control of himself. And trust me, that's the kind of energy that leaves a lasting impression. So take a deep breath, stay steady, and pass her test, not for her, but for you. No, hate mastering emotional detachment. Here's a hard truth, and it might sting a little. The moment you feel the need to pass her test, you risk falling into emotional quicksand. You might not even realize it, but the harder you try to prove yourself, the deeper you think. This is exactly what Stoicism warns us about. Letting external validation dictate our inner peace. And if you're not careful, you'll find yourself reacting to her test instead of responding with clarity and confidence. Think about it for a second. Why is she testing you? It's not always about you proving your worth. Sometimes it's her way of understanding your consistency, your patience, or even your resilience. It's human nature to gauge trust and compatibility through these little challenges. But here's where most people get it wrong. They attach their entire sense of self-worth to how they perform in these moments. This is where Epictetus's wisdom becomes your secret weapon. He reminds us to focus only on what we can control: our actions, our words, and our mindset. The outcome of her test, that's not up to you. Her reaction, not yours to dictate. But how you show up calm, grounded, and unapologetically yourself, that's entirely within your power. Picture she's pulling back, maybe becoming a little distant, or throwing subtle jabs to see how you'll react. A common response might be panic, over-explaining yourself, or trying to fix the situation. But what if instead you acknowledged her behavior without being consumed by it? You might say something like, "I noticed you seem a bit distant. I'm here if you wanted to talk." Then you leave it at that. No chasing, no overthinking, no overcompensating. What happens here? You've shown awareness without desperation. You've communicated without pleading. And most importantly, you've detached from the need to control her response. This isn't about ignoring her or playing games. It's about respecting her space while maintaining your own emotional stability. When you stop trying so hard to pass her test, you naturally pass it. Why? Because you're not reacting like someone who's afraid of losing. You're acting like someone who knows their value and trusts themselves to navigate whatever comes next. This is the essence of Stoic strength: being the calm within the storm, not the person swept away by the winds of someone else's judgment. No, 9 lead with purpose, not ego. Tests often bring out ego. You might think, "I'll show her who's in charge," or feel the urge to prove something. But here's the truth. This isn't about winning a battle of wills or feeding your pride. This is about staying grounded in who you truly are. When you're being tested, the first thing to remember is this: lead with purpose, not pride. If you make decisions based on how you want to be perceived, in her eyes you're handing over your power. Your actions become about impressing her, rather than staying true to yourself. Stoicism teaches us that our focus should remain on our values, not external validation. What's important isn't how she sees you in that moment, but how you see yourself. Are you acting in alignment with your principles? Are you remaining calm, measured, and true to your character? Imagine this: she makes a comment that feels like a jab. Something like, "Oh, you've been so quiet. I thought you'd forgotten how to talk." You might feel the urge to snap back or prove yourself. But what would that accomplish instead? Respond with composure. You could say, "I've been focusing on the things that matter to me. How about you?" This shows that you're not rattled, and you're steering the conversation with intention, not defensiveness. Her tests are not within your control, but how you respond to them is. Tests like these often reveal more about her insecurities than about you. She might be trying to gauge your confidence, your patience, or your emotional stability. Don't give in to the temptation to react impulsively. Instead, let your actions reflect your values: calm, resilience, and respect for yourself and others. One of the most powerful things you can do is approach these moments with quiet confidence. You don't need to explain yourself or prove anything. By staying composed, you show that you're not easily shaken. This doesn't mean you're being passive. It means you're being deliberate. You're choosing your responses with care because you understand that real strength lies in restraint, not in overreaction. So when you feel like she's testing you, take a moment to pause and reflect. Ask yourself, am I acting out of ego or am I acting with purpose? Lead with who you are and what you stand for. Pass her test not by playing her game, but by staying true to yourself. That's how you show real strength, and that's how you command respect. No. 10. The final test: your authenticity. At the end of the day, the ultimate test is whether you can remain authentic, true to who you are even when the pressure is on. And make no mistake, when she starts testing you, it's not about the surface level actions or words. It's about seeing if you truly stand firm in your values. Can you stay grounded in who you are, or will you shift and bend just to please her? That's the real challenge. Stoicism offers a powerful reminder here. Live according to nature, your nature. Marcus Aurelius taught that nothing is more important than being true to your essence, the core of who you are. In the context of relationships, this means you don't need to act, perform, or pretend to be someone you think she wants. That's not strength. That's insecurity disguised as effort. The real strength lies in showing up as yourself. Unapologetically. Imagine she's testing your patience. Maybe she makes a sarcastic comment to see how you'll react, or pulls back her energy just to gauge yours. In these moments, it's tempting to overthink or try to prove yourself. But pause, ask yourself, what would the best version of me do? What would my principles guide me to do? Respond calmly with a steady hand. Perhaps you smile and say, "I see what you're doing there, but I'm not shaken." That subtle confidence speaks volumes. It shows you're unbothered by the test and secure enough to stay composed. When you respond authentically, you pass the test not by playing a game, but by demonstrating that your value doesn't come from her validation, It's rooted in your self-respect, your principles, and your ability to stay calm in the storm. Epictetus said it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This couldn't be more relevant. Her test isn't about the action itself. It's about your reaction, remember. She's not testing you to be cruel. Often, these moments are subconscious ways of determining if you're the kind of person she can trust, someone steady and consistent, someone who doesn't waver. And trust me, authenticity always wins. When you pass your test by staying true to yourself, you show her that you're not just another person trying to impress. You're someone who knows their worth and isn't afraid to show it. All right, fellas, let's tie this all together. What we've discussed today isn't just about handling her tests. It's about embracing them as opportunities for growth. Every challenge she presents is a chance for you to show strength, consistency, and emotional stability. These moments aren't meant to frustrate you or make you feel small. They're her way of seeing if you're the person she can truly rely on when the stakes are high. Here's the key lesson. Don't let these tests throw you off balance. They're not about proving yourself to her. They're about proving something to yourself. Can you stay grounded? Can you remain calm and collected when the pressure is on? This is where Stoicism truly shines. Let's reflect for a moment. Think back to the examples we've gone through, when she pushes against your boundaries, when she challenges your patience, or when she tries to provoke a reaction. Those are the moments that define your growth as a man. They're not about winning an argument or proving a point. They're about showing her and yourself that you can handle life's challenges with grace and composure. Here's where it gets real. The way you respond today sets the tone for the respect and trust you build tomorrow. If you remain steady, aligned with your principles, and confident in your actions, you'll not only pass her tests, but also strengthen the foundation of your relationship. And more importantly, you'll strengthen your relationship with yourself. That's the real victory. Now, before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a challenge. The next time you find yourself being tested, whether it's in a relationship or any other part of life, pause. Take a breath, ask yourself, am I reacting out of emotion or am I responding with intention? Let that question guide you, and you'll always act in a way that reflects your higher self. I'd love to hear from you. What part of today's video resonated the most with you? Was it the Stoic perspective, the insights into setting boundaries, or maybe something else? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one, and your feedback helps shape future content. If you found value in this video, don't forget to like it. That small action goes a long way in supporting the channel. And hey, share it with a friend who might need these lessons. Let's spread this message and help others grow too. Thank you for spending your time here today. Until next time, stay calm, stay composed, and stay committed to becoming the best version of yourself. I'll see you in the next video.